guys for getting here. As you know, I'm going to be using this for my A&M and also for my pastoral tasks. So thank you again. We're going to be talking about the problem of practice, which you're familiar with because we've already introduced it through our leadership team, but it's something Mr. Ozan and I have been working on with the Holdsworth and identifying our areas that we can help our students improve. So the objectives that we're going to be doing for this meeting, we're going to talk about the purpose, look at the surveys that we did with our students who did not pass the 4th grade math test, and talk about what a PDSA cycle is. We're going to go over the roles and timeline for our POP team, which is us. And then at the collaboration part, we're going to start the P, which is our planning. And at the end, we're going to do the D, which is going to be our do, and we're going to talk about the next steps to take us in. So this is our POP team that we have created. We have Miss Alvarez in 4th grade math and science, Ms. Ramirez, you're our 3rd grade teacher, Mr. Ozan, our instructional leader, and then myself, also a 4th grade teacher. So we are going to be trying these strategies, putting them into place, and then analyzing everything. So the purpose of our initiative is to strengthen our students' sense of belonging through academic discourse and to build their confidence and conceptual understanding. So we have to figure out how we're going to do that, which is why we've created this team. So through our research that we found, we know that students with a strong sense of belonging perform better academically, and the student's sense of belonging is actually tied to their academic performance. So our goal through our committee is just going to be able to grow our students and attain better outcomes and find strategies that can improve their sense of belonging and also improve their conceptual understanding. So that brings us to our surveys that we did earlier in the year, and we did these specifically with our students who did not pass the 4th grade math STAR assessment. And one of the questions that we asked was, how likely are you to ask your teacher for help when you need it? So we can see based on the graph that approximately 80% of our students fit in the not likely to somewhat likely area of asking for help. And so these were some of the actual responses from our students, and some of them are pretty heartbreaking, like the one that says sometimes they don't want to ask because they think their teacher might be mad, because they're very shy, because they don't really need help that much, but sometimes they do. And then the last one says, I did that because I just don't like to get help. I just sit there because I'm scared. So it's definitely showing us that our students are definitely scared to ask. And another one on this page coming from our students is, because I do not asking my teacher because I might get it wrong, so they're scared to even try. Because I need help sometimes, because something is hard, I ask. So we do have some students asking, but are they asking the right questions? And then another one of our questions was, how scary is it? And again, it's the same sort of response. There's like 80% who are living in the it's scary category. So we need to figure out ways, but these again are some of their responses. So one on the bottom says, I picked that because when the teacher tells us like what to do, and let's say it's on number 9, and then we're on number 5 and you forgot what she said, and then you get scared to ask because she might say that she already went over it. So, and then there's one that says, I believe she's trying to say hesitated, because I get hesitated. So I think she's hesitating on her responses. They don't know if the teacher's gonna say yes or no, and then this student straight up says, because I get scared. So all of this, there's another one. This one's because I'm just scared and I'm not comfortable. So all of these results definitely tell us that our students are struggling in the area of sense of belonging. And so when we look at it, doing our research, there's 3 areas: welcome and invited, supported, known, heard, and accepted. So those are those 3 areas that we can really focus on to create that sense of belonging, which will translate back into those higher outcomes. So we're gonna pause because I've done a lot of talking. So now let's switch our mind from that. And this one's just a question. We did this at Holdsworth also. What's one thing that you're looking forward to when you go on spring break?
So we got some baby chickens, and I'm looking forward. They're in my daughter's room right now. So I'm looking forward to my husband building a coop so they can get out already.
In the house? You're gonna have a coop in the house?
No, coop will be outside, but they're tiny right now. So they're in a little cage. So
We're chicken parents.
Did you get them from like the tractor store?
Yes, from
The tractor, no. Nailers.
Are they
Nailers. Okay, that's where I meant.
Are they a certain kind of chicken?
They are. So, well, we got 3 chickens, and they.
No, they have different colors.
There actually is different. There's egg hatching ones, there's meat ones. We didn't know that.
What kind did you get?
But we got eggs. We got 3, and of course I have 3 daughters, so they each picked a different color because they're like, we don't want them to get confused.
I was a girl too.
Yes.
I don't
I
think you
hope
get
so.
eggs. How you gonna get eggs?
You really don't know
No, they
until
said
they
there's
get
like it's
older.
98% accuracy on gender.
Yeah.
Please don't be a rooster.
We did a lot of chicken parenting when we were in Alabama. So it's an experience.
That's fine. We'll just sit and stare at them for.
Oh, it's fun for the girls though. I love that.
I'm going skiing for the first time ever.
Yeah.
I plan to fall a lot. Be cold.
Did you already get your ski gear?
No, I'm getting that from the resort.
Yeah, they
So
rent that,
I'm
yeah.
not going to buy anything and just get it all
It
from
would be
the
a
resort.
waste.
Mhm.
See, that's exciting. Yeah.
We're just going to Houston.
Nice. Yeah. That'll be fun. I'm gonna try and rest and get a little schoolwork done. So I'm looking forward to that. So clearly earlier when I was talking, I was giving you a lot of information, but then now we just kind of shared stories. How does that make you feel?
Relax.
There we go. So that's the goal that we're trying to achieve with our students. And it goes back to being known, heard, and accepted. So just some bullet points on why we want to focus on being known, heard, and accepted is our students who feel accepted are able to adjust in their learning environment. And we want to make sure that we focus on what students can do, which is why we're going to collaborate together and figure out some strategies that we can do to help them move along. And then the last one that we're going to focus on today is a big one, which is the support. And so providing them scaffolding. We know that our students need the repetition, they need the visuals. We've been doing a lot of peer-to-peer, but now that we're moving into STAR, it's going to be individual. They need to be doing the work by themselves. So this is even more important that they know how to ask for help. So this is why we're coming together. So what we learned at Holdsworth is a plan, do, study, act cycle, and it starts at the top, and we're trying to make sure that our problem practice students can increase their conceptual understanding, and we're going to do that through developing their sense of belonging and their conceptual understanding by improving their learning environment, making it very safe for them to ask questions, making it very safe for them to feel comfortable doing that, and then also improve their foundational skills. So it starts at the very bottom with specific change ideas. So we came together at Holdsworth, we did lots of research, we did lots of data digging, and what we found was all kinds of these beautiful, great ideas. And now we need to go into the cycle. So step 1 is identifying just one of those ideas. Step 2 would be creating the resources, which is why we've created our POP team together so that we can come together and do that. Step 3 is actually testing it, and it's in short 2-week cycles. Step 4 would be studying our data and everything we put together. And then we're going to determine if we need to abandon it, adjust it, apply it. And then the last step is starting over with a new strategy. This is what the timeline will look like for our first PDSA cycle. So we already planned the initial change idea as the first one to get started, but moving forward, we would do it together as a team. And then on March 16th is where we'll start implementing and tracking. The 19th is our Thursday, and that would be where we check in, discuss our progress, and then that following Monday, which is the 23rd, make sure we still have the resources that we need for our students, make sure our trackers are in place, and then the grand finale would be March 26th, collect all the data, and then we reflect. So the roles that we would need for our team, Mr. Ozan is our instructional leader who's going to be facilitating us, introducing discussing the change ideas and then providing any resources that we might need. We're all gonna analyze and reflect, and then as the teachers, we're gonna help develop the plan and then be the ones that are actually implementing the 2-week cycle, be the ones that track the progress, and then we all come back together to see how it worked. So in deciding which one to start with, we used an ease impact graph, and there are a million great ideas in our change ideas. And the ones that we want to focus on are the easy and high impact. And what we mean by easy is it doesn't take a lot of resources, doesn't take a lot of time, but we feel that it's actually going to do a big increase on the needle of our kids and get them to move forward, which is why we have to study it. Because even though we think that, we're not sure if it's actually going to work. So that brings us to our first one, which is students will receive a menu of sentence stems to ask for help related to their mathematical content. We've already been doing a lot with our habits of discussion, getting our kids to talk to one another, but now we really need to focus on them being independent. And what we found from our surveys is that they don't even know how to ask for help. So that brings us to our focus of how can we help them in support to ask questions. So this is where we're going to get together right now, focusing on all of our TEKs that we just did in our planning earlier this morning, and then also our STAR reviews that are coming up, and then figure out some question stems that we can use as desk visuals, and then see how we can implement them. So right now, I put together just a few of the STAR thinking stems to kind of help us get started. And then this is where we discuss, like, how many do we want to put on the desk? What is going to be fitting? Some of them are formed for them to think. And as we were discussing earlier, do we want them to think, or do we want them to be able to ask the question? And I think we're kind of leaning towards asking questions.
Because, you know, the reason why we're leaning more towards asking the questions, because I think they need to ask them to think. And I think the thinking part is what is causing the apprehensions. Adding to that, I think ultimately kids are afraid to be wrong. Well, I'll say this, adults are afraid to be wrong. And if you will notice, like, a lot of adults don't want to raise their hand and ask questions. A lot of adults don't want to speak out when a question is asked to them, even in professional development. So what we figured is this: if kids are so afraid of being wrong, we need to make it easier for them to ask for help. The other thing we can do is also make it more acceptable to be wrong. It's like my favorite mistake. Like, you go over some of the wrong answers that kids were on the right pathway to figuring out a math problem, or it could be even something with like reading comprehension. And you kind of celebrate those favorite mistakes, because mistakes are part of life, you know? And a lot of their confidence is built upon not being wrong. So you see a lot of shutdown. Because if I do nothing, then guess what? Nobody will ever know that I'm wrong. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help, because the individuals in your classroom, the students are more motivated, are the ones actually asking for clarification, you know? So these sentence stems are gonna build that type of confidence as far as like asking for help, but it also can be utilized as clarification on what they're asking for. Not just, I need help, but I need help to do certain things, and that's really gonna help the teacher be more directive in the assistance that she or he gives the student, rather than going through almost like a riddle to figure out where they need help.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times our kids just say, I don't know, but you don't know what.
You don't know what you don't know.
So like at the top, the STAR thinking stems are like, what is the problem asking me to find? Which numbers are important? Which strategy should I try first? Should I draw a model or picture? So those are the ones for like the kids to think, but let's design some that we could use on the desk that they would be able to ask us for help. Yeah.
I think a lot of times too, well, it's kind of difficult to talk about that when, if there's a specific question also, right? Like, depending on the type of question we're doing, is it, did I get my first step right? Did I not get, you know what I mean? Like, especially with those two-step
So if it's a
problems.
multi-step
If it's a
problem.
multi-step problem, it also kind of depends on the question you're talking about, right?
And I think, and you're right, and all this brainstorming is important, so even when you said that, I think a good question for students to ask is this question here: is this a one-step or a two-step problem? And then it could be, what operation do I need to solve? What operations do I need to solve this problem? Questions like that are gonna make them, are gonna lead them towards what they actually want to ask and want to know. And then that's when you can go back and say, hey, you remember like this problem? This is an example of this, and I'm glad you asked this because it's just like this one. And you have that reference that you've already taught.
Go back to that same one.
Or even, I think a good question, like what we talk about a lot is, have I seen this type of problem before? That's what we do, I mean, like, have I seen this before? Do I remember something similar to this? Do I remember what I did to attack a problem like this before?
It's like the same kinds of
It's the same
keywords.
things over and over again.
And that's a good, what I can ask myself question. And, but no, but here's the thing.
That can lead to what.
Yeah.
The ease of creating this is just a different color of cardstock. It could be the green are the questions I'm asking my teacher, the blues are the questions I'm asking
That
myself.
thinking, I like that, the color code, the teacher question, color code, the thinking question.
So, I mean, having this type of mechanism, I guess, but utilizing note cards, you can just interchange them.
Right.
So when it's independent practice, everybody switches to their blue card.
Yeah.
Right? And these are going to be the questions you ask yourself. Before you ask the teacher, right? And these are strategies we already use.
Right.
I want you to go through these lists of questions and ask yourself these things. And when you can't figure it out, then I can come back and help you with the green card question.
I think we were discussing that earlier, like even you're gonna have the kids that still struggle to use that, but we could use that as the tool when we come up, be like, point to the question that you did try, point to the question that you asked yourself. And then, we could build on that by, what did you respond, like, what are you thinking, get them to really go, but at least they have the starting point.
And that could be something you also know in academic monitoring.
And I like that idea too, because I think a lot of times kids, we teach them when we're doing like whole group or like tier 1 instruction, right? You talk about, or like you're modeling, like this is how I should be thinking, this is what I should be doing, I should be analyzing. But I think when they start to do independent work, they raise their hand and they do ask us their thinking questions themselves, when, you know what I mean?
So it would be a way we can support that.
I like the idea of just like, these are your thinking questions, like a color, like, it's okay to talk to yourself.
Yeah, it
Which is what we teach, yes, that's what we
Like,
want them to
have
do.
that thinking, have that conversation with yourself.
So let's start with that then. So thinking stems, and we thinking along the lines of our star reviews, what would be, like, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's like 8 up there on the thinking stems.
What if it was like a, did I do this first? chart?
Like a checklist.
Yeah, like did I, go through all of these things first?
I like that.
Or am I?
Well,
No, I like
but
that.
here's the thing, and the reason why I like that this is so generic, you can create your
Yeah.
own, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know what? My kids are ready to move on to this type of question or this type of thought. And it's so easy to just use one card stock and make 4 cards. You know what? We're gonna try this. And if it doesn't work, it's a low cost way to abandon something, that we tried. So I think
And I think too, like as teachers, like as we're going around and we're like academic monitoring and we're watching them, like when they ask us questions, we say, did you do this? Did you do this step? Did you notice this? So if they're automatically training themselves first to say, did I draw my picture? Did I
Find the keyword.
find the keyword? Did I,
Identify the problem.
read all of the information? Because a lot of times they want to jump right to the question, especially when there's a pictogram.
Did I look at the picture? Did I analyze it all the way?
And we were discussing, our kids are struggling identifying the relationship of what the number represents.
Right.
Like, they know how to do the computation, but then when they actually have to apply it, that's where they're loose, that's where the disconnect is coming from. Okay, so I got
That would be like, did I read the whole, word problem?
Did I identify the question? Was that what that was? I got draw a
Just
picture,
all the information in general.
find a word, did I identify the needed
Sometimes it's
Because,
the
some of
action,
it-
it's the math action that's happening. That's what I like to say in my class, it's the math action, like what, you know, you have all these cupcakes, what are we doing with the cupcakes, you know?
So I gotta draw a picture, find keyword, math actions, did I?
And again, cause a lot of times too, it's like, they don't have a question, there's nothing on their paper, right? And they're like, well, where's your get strategy? Where is your whatever strategy, you know what I mean?
Oh,
So-
did I try a strategy?
Yeah, oh, that's a good one, did I even,
Try something.
something. A lot of times they don't, but then why would they not? Why would they not try a strategy? Cause they don't know what strategy to,
And they don't wanna be wrong.
do.
And they don't
Like you
wanna
said.
make us practice all that. So just try one if you're right. Or what if you're right?
That's good, what if you're right, what if you're right? Okay, so I like those, did I, what do y'all think? Did I draw my picture? Did I find keywords? Did I identify the math action? Did I say that right? Did I try a strategy?
because, you know what I mean by math action is usually like, and we teach them like in my grades, it's like, the word then or now, that's telling you something happened, right? But a lot of times, something's always happening in math, because if there wasn't, it would just be comprehension.
Well, there's a word for that though, not just the keyword,
But if there's an action, there's a
Is it-
math action, there's
is it-
something going on in the,
That's
and
what
that's
you
what you have to
were
read for
saying.
comprehension. That's where reading comprehension comes in.
Or could it be, did I find the correct heart of the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the
Because
did I.
again, too, sometimes they'll do hard, like I'm solving for cupcakes. Okay, what do they want to know about the cupcakes?
Yes,
Is it what did we start with? Is it what we ended with? How do you know those things?
because cupcakes isn't strong enough, they need the
Correct.
action, that's what
Right,
we were
this is
saying.
the action, like what are you doing with those cupcakes?
Okay, and so that would be like a starter, did I? And now let's move to like questioning.
Okay.
Cause that's like our checklist. And let's say you get a kiddo that's good at that, and then we switch to the next color.
Now they're ready to ask you for help. They completed
They
their.
did, I did my get strategy.
And now they're still struggling. So now what would they ask instead of just say, I don't know?
I did my get strategy. Did you do it
Did I
correctly?
do my strategy?
Did I do my
correctly?
strategies
And that also is
correctly?
encouraging them, like before you ask, you should try something.
There has to be a strategy first.
Yes.
Did I do the correct strategy?
Like not
Cause you
just
can't
did I do
ask
the
that
right
if there's no
answer.
strategy.
Right.
Correct strategy. Okay, there's one. I like that.
And that's what we see as some, like the other day when we were doing some math, and I was walking around and one of my little girls said, like I was like, you know, you see this word, you see this, she's like, oh yeah, the get strategy, and I said, yes, I walk around and come back, she has a strip diagram on her desk, on her paper, and I go,
Want to get strategy?
that's not the get strategy though, baby girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're doing a strategy, they're remembering like, oh, like, you know, Ms. Ramirez has said, like, this is important, the seesaw is important, the get's important, our strip diagram's important. But then when you're mixing up all those different strategies, so, yeah.
So what would be a question if their strategies are mixed up?
I mean, I teach it with, you know, the keyword, like the keywords, again, the math action, what's happening. If we're putting each in a group, that math action is gonna be represented with, you know, multiplication and division. If I'm selling something, I'm eating something, I'm throwing it away, those things are going with more of addition and subtraction.
So what if we go back to the heart and the kids just ask, is my heart strong enough? Is my heart, how would we word that?
I like, is my heart strong enough? I like that, I think that like,
I
makes
feel like
sense.
that would tie a lot, cause if their hard word is
It's too weak, like what does that
unrelated,
mean? You didn't go deep enough in there, yeah.
It's too weak. Okay, so did I do the correct strategy? Good question. Is my heart strong enough? Okay, let's do
Even too, like these numbers that I pulled, like, is it making sense? Like,
yes.
you know, and I don't know if it like applies probably more in 5th grade, but like we talk about, if I have a, you know, like if I have an 8 and a 9, what is the likelihood of adding 8 and 9? Like, that's too easy for me right now, you know, like kind of just using that kind of stuff, like, I don't know if that works with the strategies and things, kind of, I don't know.
That would be like, I think that goes good with the did I did I make my numbers make sense? Is my does my answer make sense? Oh, yeah, they could ask that question. Does my answer make sense?
And I think that going on, because my answer makes sense, that's going back to understanding what are they asking me for. If I'm solving for cupcakes, but my heart word was strong of they wanna know how many cupcakes were left, but I solved for 462. Does that really not make sense?
And I think I saw a lot of that
Understanding the math, the
on the mock,
actions.
where they should have been multiplying, and when they're dividing and it's getting a smaller number, that doesn't even make sense with what the question was asking.
And that's because they don't understand the math action and the question that they're asking. If this is your total, then you shouldn't be going bigger. Then they don't understand that. What's going on?
So what would be a good question for the students to ask towards the action? Like, let's say they're looking at a problem, they tried something, they're totally off, they're not doing it, but we know that they're missing the action. How can we guide them to ask?
Literally say what's going on in the problem. What are the people doing? What is the person doing?
Like summarize.
Like tell me what's
What just
going on,
happened?
yeah. Because if it literally says, oh, Catherine, ate donuts, and you tell me Catherine ate donuts, okay, well then why are you adding her donuts then?
What can the student ask?
Is my math action right? I don't know.
Yeah,
So-
the operation, cause that goes back to
My
the
operation,
operation.
my
Yeah,
usually correct
operation.
operation.
Yes. And we want them to be thinking in those mathematical terms. Is my operation, that's perfect.
And also to kind of talking about operations is sometimes understanding that that number sentence is literally describing what's going on, but using numbers, not words.
Right.
Sometimes there's like a misconnect there too, like that number 42 represents
42.
is cupcake, pens or
Yes.
cupcakes, but do you know what I mean? Like
That's what we were
them
talking about,
understanding
getting them to label.
the numbers are attached to
Yes.
a noun.
Okay, so,
Or-
let's go over those real fast, and I think we're good to go. Did I do the correct strategy? Is my heart strong enough? Does my answer make sense? And is my operation correct? Would that be a
What
good
about
start?
like for vocabulary, like if they tell you like, I think parallel means this, is that right? Like I think
blank.
this word means blank.
Instead of
Correct.
saying, but what they tend to do
So
is,
ask
I don't
me.
know what that means, I don't know what parallelogram means.
Yeah.
So you could say,
This word
ask
is
me, does parallel, like forcing them to come up with something.
Cause what if you're right?
Yeah. What if you're right?
What if you did know it the whole time?
And yeah,
So we can word it that does
Because
the
it's the
blank
confidence or
mean
afraid of
blank, and they're just it's just a check with you. Oh, I love it. Okay, I think we got some good strategies to start. So moving on, the next step would be, we obviously need to track it. So we're gonna get these printed, get them in there, put them on the desk, but then we need to know if our students are actually using it. So an idea that I did real fast was just doing the PDSA frequency would be like and this is just for our top students. If they use the chart and we're talking with them, we can record it, and if they use it we may have to guide them and support them. So then that would be just the frequency chart. They used it. And if we know they used it by themselves, is this something we can track individually?
What I really would be interested in, I know it's for our pop students, but let's say for our, I would say our pilot classes, right? I wouldn't like to know what the frequency is in those classes as well. Because I think that what it will do is like provide us with a better baseline for the cycles for next school season. Right? You know, so we get a good idea of like how would this look in third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade, because what's gonna happen is the problem of practice has high potential of changing after we get
Yes, the start of the
results,
year.
right? So now we're ahead of the game, you know, and then we'll figure out if this PDSA cycle is even worth continuing to implement, even though we can kind of identify uses for it regardless, you know, student advocacy and then students being able to problem solve for themselves.
how do you feel about, like, if you're giving them to this group of children, right, that are already low confidence, they're already scared, and now you're giving them like another something that's,
Different.
you still didn't get, like, you're not, you know what I mean, like, you're still putting them in that bubble of like,
So then we do it with everybody, but we
Yeah.
only track them. We do it with everybody,
But track them,
but only track.
because I feel like that has a lot.
But that's exactly how I was,
Yeah.
how I
That
was
is
thinking,
your
yes,
example.
yes, we're gonna implement it in that fashion, but what I'm saying is as we concentrate on fifth grade
Yeah.
where the pop students exist, because this needs to be introduced to everyone.
Yeah.
Cause for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, am I the only person with
Right.
it?
Because then that
Yeah,
goes
yeah, I
back
know,
like
yes.
what we
Yes,
talked
then
about
you still
before,
feel-
it's.
No, this is gonna be a
Okay.
universally
Okay.
introduced strategy. And, once the students see our high achieving, wait a minute, they must be on to something.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping that this will inspire. But at the same time, the main goal is for them just to be able to ask for something, not just sit and suffer.
So is this something y'all think would be okay to use, at least for this first one, just with our, okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
I
So
think
then I'll,
keeping it simple, yeah.
yeah, get those
And
printed
here's
out.
the thing, you've already got students that are similar to our pop students identified in your class now.
Mhm. Yes. So next steps, this is the end of where we are, we're in conclusion. We're gonna be making the desk cards based on, we'll actually be doing two and color code them, preference on color codes. Okay, perfect, we're gonna do those.
We're making web colors.
Yeah, we can do that too.
No, it
And then-
depends on the color of cardstock.
Also, what we have available for resources, and then Mr. Ozan already ordered all the desk cards, they're just the sticky ones, so we can get those put together. And then step two, starting on Monday after spring break, and then modeling the questions with our kiddos, getting them using it, and then we'll start the tracker. And then step three for that week is coming back together on Thursday and looking at where we're at, but it is gonna be a 2-week cycle, so we just need to make sure we start it on Monday, so we'll come